All right, so when we multiply radicals or square roots, we can just multiply them together if they're both underneath the radical or underneath the house, okay? And then we're going to memorize some of the repeating decimals just because it helps your life, okay? So the rule is if you have the square root of m times n, you can multiply m times n because they're both underneath the square root. So you just multiply them together. Or you can also break them apart. So you can have two numbers under there. You can spread it out as all being radicals, like separate roots, okay? So if you have the square root of 2 times 5 times 5, that could also be written as the square root of 2 times the square root of 5 times the square root of 5, just so you know, which is technically the square root of 50. All right, if we multiply those all together, you get the square root of 50. They are going to ask you to simplify a bunch of these, okay? So you want to break up 50 into prime numbers or look for perfect squares inside of 50. So what's like the best perfect square that you can think of that divides into 50? Everyone? 25. That is the best one, okay? So 50 is 25 times 2. And we know the square root of 25, right? What's the square root of 25? Good. It is 5. And the 2 stays inside. Okay. Now, if you don't recognize this as a square root, you could keep breaking it down to 5 times 5. And then anybody that has a date leaves the house as 1, and this guy stays in the house because he's alone. So if you have a pair of numbers, they leave the house as 1. Isn't that cute? All right. And if they don't have a pair, they stay in the house. Okay. Honestly, this way is easier because you're like, what's the square root of 25? It's 5, and the 5 comes out. All right. So 75, what's a perfect square number that goes into 75? Same Z's, 25, but this one is 25 times 3. What's the square root of 25? 5. And the 3 stays inside the house. All right, this is simplifying square roots or radicals. So you look for those perfect squares inside. All right, 200, the square root of 200. What is a perfect square that goes into 200? If you come up with 100, that will help your life, all right? This one will be a lot easier. I'm going to show you both ways, okay? So let's say you right off the bat, you're like, yep, 100 times 2, right? What is the square root of 100? 10, all right? And then the 2 stays inside. But let's say your brain did not come up with 100, and you were like, that's 20 times 10, all right? And then maybe you thought of 20 as 4 times 5 and 10 as 5 times 2. Oh, I ran out of room. And 4 would be 2 times 2, right? And then I could just carry down the 5 and the 5 and the 2, okay? Who has a date? Yeah, 5 has a date and 2 has a date. They leave the house as 1. A 2 leaves, a 5 leaves. And this guy without a date, he stays in the house. And what happens when the dates leave the house is they multiply, okay? And you get 10, all right? So if you don't recognize the 100, just pull out the double numbers as 1 and multiply them together, okay? All right, the square root of 189. What goes into 189? Okay, let's say that 9 goes in. That's probably a good one. Okay, 9 goes into 18 how many times? Twice. And 9 goes into 9 how many times? All right. This one's neat. Let's say you didn't recognize what to do and you kept going. Okay, 9 is 3 times 3. 21 is 7 times 3. So you're down to prime numbers. What leaves the house? Yes, because the square root of 9 is 3. These guys do not have dates. They stay in the house and they multiply. Okay. Memorize these repeating decimals. Neat. Okay. 0.33333333. Anybody know what that is? 1/3. Okay, write this down. 1/3. All right, this one is 0.1 and just the 6 is repeating, so it's like this. Does anyone know this one? It is 1/6. All right, 0.11111111. Good job. 1/9. 0.66666666. Great job. All right, memorize those. Let's try some whiteboards. Yes, Cruz. What is what? 0.9 repeating. I don't know. I'd have to think about that. I'm not sure.